Hey, what's happening, y'all, man? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores. I'm coming with my reactions and quick notes. Of course, I'm going to give y'all an official review of the game after I watch the film further. Like, I'm going to take some time to really look at, like, Jamin Davis every snap that he was in, Samuel Cosmi every snap he was in, all of that type of stuff. But for now, my instant reactions immediately after the game, I have a lot of notes that kind of somewhat in chronological order. Generally, some things got a little bit out of order because some things I thought about it a little bit later. But generally, we're going to go from the starters all the way to the third and fourth stringers. Generally, that's how most of this is going to go. And then, you know, my videos are normally organized by position groups, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Today is not that. We're literally just going through my exact notes on here. So we're just going to go each note throughout this video. I'll probably do this from now on as like a every game thing, live stream every game. That hour break I take before I do the post game live stream, I'll do a quick notes instant reaction review, then we'll do the post game live stream, and then like the next day or the day after that, once I finally get time to watch all of the film and really look at players, that's when I'll come out with the official game review after the film review. This is the quick instant reaction review. I'm gonna have the after the film review as well for all the preseason games, all the regular season games, and of course all of the postseason games. Again, I'm gonna speak that into existence. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. This one's largely opinionated. Most of mine are mostly informative. This one's opinionated. Also, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first observation, obviously, first team offense, very sloppy, most notably Ryan Fitzpatrick. Because in my opinion, receivers were open, tight ends were open, Ryan Fitzpatrick was just overthrowing them all game. Logan Thomas was open twice, one of them for a touchdown. Ryan Fitzpatrick overthrew him both times. Adam Humphries was open one time, at least for a first down. It may have been for a touchdown. I can't remember, but it was definitely for a really positive play. Ryan Fitzpatrick overthrew that as well. I mean, honestly, the hardest throw he had to throw today was the Dyami Brown one, and then that's the play he completed. He made that perfect rainbow throw to Dyami Brown. Everybody else had at least a yard of separation, and he was overthrowing them. But Ryan Fitzpatrick said after the game with his press conference, he said, quote, Fitzy was a little fired up. He overshot throws that he has been making, a little uncharacteristic of him. And he said that the offense can be a little bit more efficient even though it was the preseason. And I do agree because like he's been making those throws easily, consistently in practice. He looked really good. I mean, he was making those throws in the first preseason game, but today he just came out a little antsy, a little on edge. It was technically dress rehearsal, so maybe he felt like this was a game somewhat. He was trying to simulate a game experience. He did not go out there and perform well, though. We need better out of you, Ryan Fitzpatrick, because now there's no excuse. Last year, the receiving core, just other than Terry McLaurin, it was pretty ugly. Now we have a very deep receiving group. It went from one of our biggest weaknesses to potentially one of our biggest strengths, maybe directly behind the defensive line if you rank our biggest strengths on the team as far as position groups go. So receivers are open, specifically tight ends as well. Running backs, you gotta hit them. But he ended up finishing the day 7-13 for 96 yards with a 7.4 yards per attempt average. Not good. I mean, again, some of those should have been easy touchdowns, easy first downs. Like, it was mostly Ryan Fitzpatrick. The first team offense was fairly sloppy. Antonio Gibson looked a little hesitant. I mean, and overall, first team offense and even kind of first team defense, they looked like they were playing like they don't want to get hurt. They just went out there and were kind of running through the motions. But the offense especially looked like that. Also, the first team O-line, little sloppy at times, but Charles Leno definitely did have a better game today, so he bounced back from that Patriots game, which is not surprising because, again, even before the game started, I said if we see improvement by certain players, is that because the team we're going against is worse? Because the Bengals are easily way worse than the Patriots, or is that because players actually got better? So, in Charles Leno's case, I'm not sure which one of those it is, but I am happy to see him have a better game. And the starting O-line, again, sloppy overall, but each individual had a pretty solid day, except for that one time Brandon Sheriff, I mean, straight up got beat on a sack. I don't know what that play was. It was a passing play, and Brandon Sheriff came and pulled on a passing play, which is really weird because normally guards pull for running plays, but he came and pulled, came to the outside shoulder of Charles Leno on the left side and just straight up got beat one-on-one. Just straight up got beat. I think that ended up being a Ryan Fitzpatrick sack as well. Cam Sims fumbled with the ones. That fumble was unacceptable. He was out there trying to technically like crawl for like an extra yard, but he was like 4 yards away from the first down. Just go down and punt the ball. It was over with. And that gave the Bengals offense their best starting position by far, because our defense played very well today. And even beyond that, Tressway was out here punting for his life, trying to carry the team on his back. So beyond just that, so other than that, the Bengals offense usually had pretty bad starting position, but Cam Sims gave them their best starting position of the day. But then he kind of made up for it with a nice grab, but he was out of bounds against the twos. I think y'all remember that in the end zone where we were talking about was his forearm in, and then he kind of bobbled it afterwards anyway, even if he was in bounds. Still a pretty nice grab, a nice aggressive grab, but overall wasn't a great game from him, especially with that fumble. Again, like I said, Antonio Gibson just looked a little hesitant. Like he's a freak athlete. And I'm going to talk about this in the Jaret Patterson section. Jaret Patterson is easily a better pure runner than Antonio Gibson right now. Vision, patience, decision-making, knowing what hole to hit and when, cutting, all of that type of stuff. He's a better pure running back. He played running back in college, whereas Antonio Gibson was a receiver in college, and it shows. But Antonio Gibson is the far better athlete, so you're going to bank on that potential. So we'll see if Antonio Gibson can become a better, like, pure running back. But as of right now, we've seen Jaret Patterson is a better just actual running back. Jaret Patterson is the better player overall. I mean, especially since he's like a better receiver, a better route runner. But Jaret Patterson is no slouch in the passing game as well. So it's really interesting. But we're going to dive into that. Let me stop. Let me stop on the Jaret Patterson. I'm super hype about him. We'll get there. Also, Benjamin St-Juste early on was a step behind receivers, especially like Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase just simply had a couple of drops. But one of his drops was a great coverage by Benjamin St-Juste. And overall, he did have great coverage for the rest of the game. Like the first couple of times they threw towards him, T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase, that he was covering, he was a step behind. After that, he was straight. He was super solid. Especially like that one time they tried to throw that fade route to the end zone. Benjamin St-Juste completely shut that down. Like there was no way the quarterback could have gotten the ball to the receiver. And I liked how like somewhere in the middle, and in the beginning they were targeting Torry McTyer. He started making plays. Then they started targeting Benjamin St-Juste over and over again, and that was perfect because that gave him meaningful reps to show what he can do, and he went out there and stepped up to the plate. I loved it. And again, I love the fact that William Jackson, Kendall Fuller didn't play, so you're starting corners with the first team defense versus the first team offense. Again, Ja'Marr Chase, 5th overall pick in the draft, first receiver taken in a deep class with Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Dyami Brown, all of these guys. He was the first receiver taken for a reason. And Benjamin St-Juste was tasked with covering him, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, all of these guys. I love the fact that he went up there and not only played well, but played well against top competition. Also, this Landon Collins hype might be real, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, first of all, that hit on Thaddeus Moss, which is really interesting, the fact that it was Thaddeus Moss. I'm gonna keep tracking him and see how he progresses in his career to see if he truly was as talented as I felt like he was, or if Rivera and them was smart for releasing him. But man, Landon Collins, it's been all of this hype coming out of training camp practices that Landon Collins looks like his former Giants all-pro self. Like, this is the closest he's ever looked to being that guy since he's even put on a burgundy and gold uniform. This is easily the best he's ever looked since we ever signed him. And it's looking like that hype may be real. He looks faster out there. He looks more explosive. He looks more sure of himself. It's crazy that he's returning from an injury because he looks even better now than he did before the injury. So I'm happy about that. It's going to be interesting to see who gets more playing time between him and Cameron Curl, or if he just put them on the field at the same time and take away a linebacker or take away a corner. We'll see. It's really interesting, though. It's a good problem to have, though. It's better to have two really good strong safeties than none. You know what I'm saying? I'll take that problem. Also, the first team D-line did very well against the run. Didn't get much pressure, but the Bengals offense, they clearly had a game plan to just do a whole bunch of quick passes and run the ball to not allow their quarterbacks to be in any real danger. I think a lot of teams are going to do that to us in general throughout the entire season. We saw the Patriots even doing that to us as well after Chase Young almost had that sort of strip sack. Technically, Cam Newton's hand was going for it, so it wasn't, but like immediately after that play, every play that the first team offense went against our first team defense, it was just quick passes if they passed the ball. And I feel like a lot of teams are going to do that to us. And today was another example of that. So they just try to take Chase Young and Montez Sweat and our dominant pass rushers out of the game by just throwing the ball fast. But at the same time, you're not going to get a lot of yards because now, other than last year, we didn't really have the cornerbacks for that. Now we clearly have the cornerbacks for that. So that quick passing game isn't going to get an offense anywhere. So they're going to have to start doing deep drops, but we're going to get coverage sacks now because our cornerbacks are so good, first of all. And then second of all, because our cornerbacks are so good now, our secondary is revamped overall. We even have upgrades at safety now. Teams are not going to be able to do that quick passing game as much because our corners are going to be so good. You're just not going to be able to move the ball if all you're going to do is keep doing these 3-yard passes. You can't beat us with slant routes and dig routes all day. You just won't be able to do it. So at some point, we're going to start seeing a lot of Chase Young and Montez Sweat domination. But today, again, they just did these quick passes so that they could just avoid the quarterbacks getting lit up because Chase Young and Montez Sweat were on the way, I'm telling you. But most notably about the defensive line, the front seven in general, especially Cole Holcomb, they were dominant against the run. The Bengals couldn't find anything in the run game. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. I mean, at some point deep into the second quarter, almost going into halftime, the Bengals had like a total of 36 yards of offense. Our offense was terrible, but even with as bad as our offense looked and how sloppy it looked, at that point in the game, we had like 160-something, 170-something yards to the Bengals 36. Like, they were really getting mutilated. Our defense is dominant. I'm excited about that. Offense got to catch up, though. But now the MVP of the game, Jaret Patterson. He had a little concussion scare in the beginning. I was afraid that he wouldn't play the rest of the day. I'm so glad he came back because he started it off with, first of all, a great contested catch for a first down. I mean, he had a couple of solid runs before that, nothing special. But then after that, he started to put together some great running plays. And then he just got into a rhythm and he was just unstoppable. He was juking people out their socks. He was picking the exact hole to hit. Not a good hole, but the hole to hit. Like, Antonio Gibson will hit a good hole sometimes and he'll get some yards and it'll be like technically a good run. But Jaret Patterson hits the best hole, the perfect hole, the optimal one. I mean, his vision is crazy. I mean, some of those holes that he got through, they weren't even there at first. It's like he manifested them somehow. Like, they weren't there when the ball was snapped. Even a couple of seconds after the ball was snapped, he was patient enough, waited, knew it would open up and hit it. I don't know how he's doing it. He's just doing it. And he showed several times that he takes more than one guy to bring him down. So that's impressive in itself. I love that touchdown. I love the fact that we kept feeding him the ball too. The crowd was into it. That one drive where he first burst onto the scene, so they kept giving him the ball. The Bengals defense literally started stacking a whole bunch in the box and blitzing to stop him, but that didn't stop us. They let Peyton Barber come in to get Jaret Patterson some rest. Then the next offensive possession, we went back to Jaret Patterson and he was lighting them up, and then they let him score his own touchdown. He was probably tired by then, and I love the fact that they kept him in the game so he could put a cap on his great game. And I think after that, we never saw him again. They honestly didn't have to give him that touchdown. Honestly, like reps wise and like how tired Jaret Patterson was by then, it would have made sense to bring in a Peyton Barber or another running back to get some of those carries. But you could tell Rivera and Scott Turner were like, man, he's having such a great day. Let's give him this feel-good touchdown. He deserves it. He got us all the way from the other side of the field up to this one, to goal line. Give him the ball. Let him do it himself. So I was super happy to see that because that was a very feel-good moment for him. He also had good blitz pickups, so he's a good blocker already as well. I feel like that's not talked about enough. That right there is one of the main reasons I feel like he'll make this team. And then that one return he had for 36 yards was beautiful. I mean, he was out there making people miss. He made something out of nothing. It wasn't even like the blocking on that play was just the best ever. It's not like his 36-yard return had better blocking than any of DeAndre Carter's or Steven Sims or Dax Mills' return. He just made something out of nothing. I mean, does he have the potential to be our best returner on top of being one of the better running backs on our team and maybe even in the NFL? I mean, he does look like Maurice Jones-Drew out there, but like with return ability as well. It's crazy that we got him as an undrafted free agent. I mean, every time he ran the ball, it was pretty much a guaranteed 4 yards almost every time. And it was crazy too, because like literally the same drive, same O-line, Jaret Patterson runs the ball each time at least 4 yards, 6 yards, 7. Peyton Barber comes in, exact same O-line, no gain. Like, come on, bro. Like, bruh, Jaret Patterson has to be above him on the depth chart. He was super different today. He was MVP of the night easily, no arguments. But he wasn't the only person that had a great day. Heineke had some downs early on, but overall had a really good day. And he was showing his legs. He was running everywhere. But again, his day was up and down. I mean, it was one play where he used his legs to get a first down, and then the next play had a horrible fumble that made no sense. You know what I'm saying? He's just one of those guys up and down, but at least his up and downs come early on. He's not an up and down throughout the entire game type of guy. He's up and down in the beginning, and then after that, you're pretty set. Once he gets into a rhythm, he's good. He had the offense moving, everything was clicking, throwing receivers open, but then somewhere in the middle, he had another bad throw, but overall, he had a really good game, in my opinion, and this is one of his best performances using his legs wise, I'm not gonna lie. And also, speaking of Peyton Barber and St-Juste, I noticed this during the game. They wear the same number. So does that say like they don't care about Peyton Barber enough to give him a new number, which pretty much means he won't make the team? Or if he makes the team, we keep 4 running backs, because Jaret Patterson has to be above him right now. Jaret Patterson has to be third, technically second, because J.D. McKissick is the third down back. It's technically a different category, but I'm digressing. Either way, does that mean Peyton Barber will just get a new number if he makes the team? I don't know, but I think that's really important to note that Benjamin St-Juste and Peyton Barber both wear the same number, and Benjamin St-Juste is definitely more of a lock on this team than Peyton Barber by far. It's not even close. Also, AGG, Antonio Gandy Golden, balled out today. Multiple good catches. He even had one play where he got a lot of yards after catch that he shouldn't have. Showed a little bit of tackle breaking, a little bit of agility out there. That was great. And then he had that great fade route TD. It was a really good throw from Kyle Allen, first of all, but that was a really aggressive play. He bullied that corner. He made that corner look like he was 8 years old, Pop Warner. That was embarrassing. I really felt sorry for that corner. So AGG made up big time for last week. I mean, technically that last week thing, it looked like a catch to me, but I'm glad this time he was like, you can't even dispute it. This is a touchdown this time. Same route, same fade route, same part of the end zone, all of that. Literally the same play. Slightly better thrown ball to where he's not closer to out of bounds, and also just a better catch on his part. And it looks like, he's carving out a role to make this team. Because, honestly, at this point, it may be between him and Cam Sims. At first, I thought it was him versus, like, DeAndre Carter, Steven Sims, Dax Milne, all of these guys at the bottom of the wide receiver depth chart. But now, he may be fighting for Cam Sims' job. Because, like I've been saying, we already have a bunch of tall guys that can catch touchdowns. Our tight ends. Last year, we didn't have that. This year, we have tight ends that are tall that can catch. We have Cam Sims, and now Antonio Gandy Golden is going out there showing why we drafted him in the first place for the first time in his career. Today was like the best day AGG has ever had in his life. Like, even out of practices, this is his best day. And you can see that what he did today validates why Ron Rivera and company chose to keep AGG over at Kelvin Harmon. I love Kelvin Harmon. I really want him to make this team, but today was that day where you're like, okay, I kind of see what you're saying here. AGG might be something different. Again, like I said, Tressway was carrying the team on his back, wrote that note down. And speaking of special teams, I'm glad Dustin Hopkins and Cheeseman finally got their chemistry together. Cheeseman to Tressway is a chemistry all in itself, and then Tressway to Dustin Hopkins is a whole nother set of chemistry as well, and I'm glad they finally got all of that in sync. Now, granted, a lot of those field goals were chip shots, but still, it just looks smooth. It didn't look rushed. It didn't look like Tressway was out here trying to hurry up and get the ball down before Dustin Hopkins kicked it, so that's good to know. I think even if they were longer kicks, they probably still would have went in, because again, a lot of the problems last week were chemistry as well. Also, of course, like, the field goals we were getting early in the game, especially with the first team offense, unacceptable. Ron Rivera said in his press conference earlier that he'll take them because we're such a great defensive team and things like that. But, like, we got to score touchdowns, especially with how brutal our schedule is and the fact that we go against probably the best collection of quarterbacks in the NFL out of anybody else's schedule in the NFL. We got to do better than that. I know a lot of people are wondering about Jamin Davis. He looked faster. You know, against the twos, he definitely looked better than he did against the Patriots. Still not there yet, but he had a good run stop. He was good in coverage as well. So he made progress, definitely made some progress. Still doesn't look like a first round pick. Still doesn't look like a guy that's ready to start at Mike linebacker, like, 23 days from now, I believe. Well, almost 22 by the time I'm done editing this video. I believe it'll be 22. It's 11:49 for me right now. I'm just glad. It's very encouraging that he made progress from that Patriots game. He definitely looked better today than that Patriots game. Granted, a lot of his positive plays today were with the twos, but a lot of the plays that he had against the Patriots that weren't good were against the twos, so that's still progress. Dyami Brown getting open all day. I mean, against the ones, he had that crazy catch, and then against the twos, he was open every play. They just didn't really hit him every time, but if you go back and look at the film, Dyami Brown was open a lot, way more than he was even getting the ball. So Dyami Brown looks like a baller. Like I said, it's starting to come into fruition. I think Dyami Brown is literally going to be our second best receiver, maybe sooner rather than later. I think definitely he will be. I think ultimately Dyami Brown is going to be a better receiver than Curtis Samuel, but it may be sooner rather than later with the way he looks out there. And I also wrote this down. A lot of us were talking about this in the chat, in the live stream, but hey, I'm not going to lie. Technically today was dress rehearsal tonight, and technically the next preseason game against the Ravens, I believe, is supposed to be just straight backups, third stringers, fourth stringers, all of that, the guys that are trying to make the team. But as bad as Fitzpatrick and the first team offense look today, I think they need to go and have a second dress rehearsal, because there's no way the next time we're going to see Ryan Fitzpatrick even play in like any type of real game setting is week 1 against the Chargers, against Justin Herbert and Joey Bosa. And Derwin James out here getting pick sixes in training camp. Like, come on, bro. Like, we might have to see Ryan Fitzpatrick and the gang out there for a possession or two preseason week 3 as well, bro, because that was bad. Also, Danny Johnson, with the way Torry McTyer looked out there, I mean, Torry McTyer looked really good. I mean, along with Benjamin St-Juste starting, remember Torry McTyer started, and he was out there making play after play after play. He had great coverage plays. He had really good textbook tackling. Nobody ever escaped his grasp. If somebody caught the ball on him, they were going down without getting an extra yard or two. So Torry McTyer looks like excellent depth. I mean, cornerback may have gone from one of our biggest weaknesses last year, at least depth-wise, to one of our deepest positions. Benjamin St-Juste and Torry McTyer look good enough to actually start for real. And the fact that they're both backups right now, hopefully Benjamin St-Juste starts outside, Kendall Fuller moves the slot, but like our cornerback depth is crazy, because even on top of that, like I was about to say, Danny Johnson was out there making plays as well. And Derek Forrest, they hated, bro. That fumble he did at the goal line, that was a fumble. You can't call those flags. The reason I was really upset about that flag is because I don't want him to change how he plays. I don't think that was a bad hit, and I hope Rivera and Jack Del Rio tell him, hey man, you did your job, good job, don't change. That's my main thing. Do not change. Do not play slower. Don't play softer, because that's going to make you less good. That's going to make you less productive on the field. Keep doing what you're doing. The refs shouldn't have called that. Hopefully they fix that mistake on their end, but don't change. That was a good play. I want more of that from you. And also, even after that, he continued to make plays. He had a good read and a good tackle on a screen play. He looked like he sniffed it out. It still got like 4 or 6 yards, but he was the safety. It wasn't even like he was the corner, so he had to come up and make the play. That was a really good play on that screen. And then even on the very next play, he had a really good textbook tackle. So shouts out to Derek Forrest for making plays. I think he's very likely to make the team, probably even over a DeShazier Everett. Also, John Bates, just to update y'all, looked pretty solid, had some good blocking. He also had a really good sideline catch somewhere in the fourth quarter where he had to like tap his toes in bounds, so he looks ready to catch passes. He had that really good catch against the Patriots as well, that contested catch. So John Bates looks ready. I think he's a dependable tight end 2 already. He's only going to get better. I hope Sammis Reyes is ready to become that tight end 3, but who knows? You already know that Sammis Reyes, Tamari Kimwe, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, and Casey Toohill did not play today. I'm sad about Sammis Reyes, but it gave other guys a chance to step up. Trey Apke overall had a bad day. He got cooked on one route really bad. I mean, contested catch and all, never got his head turned around. But he did make a great read in a zone play. He followed the receiver one way, let him go, went and watched the quarterback's eyes, and then went after the receiver he was looking at and was there to make a great tackle, a big hit on the guy as soon as he caught it. So Trey Apke had some ups and downs. William Bradley King had a great strip sack. And also, Shaka Toney has some really good pass rush reps as well. They look like geniuses for getting them so late in the draft as our depth. I think they're solid depth. I'm excited. Shaka Toney looked really good against the Patriots as well. And then Kyle Allen actually had a pretty good game. Granted, it was against the 3s and 4s, but he had a pretty good game today. I mean, a couple of his throws, especially that touchdown to AGG, was really good. Oh, and did y'all see that Rotimi pass rush? Well, technically it went to the running back, but like he abused the offensive lineman in front of him. I mean, literally had him leaning forward like Paul Pierce with the Joe Johnson crossover, and then he went and tackled the running back while getting face mask and brought him down by like the shoulder or something for like a 3-4 yard loss or something like that. Man, that was probably one of the best pass rush reps from any defensive end this whole game. That was like embarrassing for the offensive lineman. Daniel Wise had a solid night as well. I believe he's the one that recovered the William Bradley King strip sack fumble, and then he also made some plays himself. Steven Sims towards the end almost made a great contested catch but dropped it. You got to catch those if you're trying to make this team. And with AGG stepping up, Jaret Patterson looking like he can be a solid returner, DeAndre Carter already a pretty dependable returner, Dax Milne making some plays here and there. Steven Sims, I've been hearing you were looking really good in training camp, and it was looking like you should make the team. But now I really don't know, because that one opportunity you had to make a big play, you didn't. And everybody else that had opportunities, Dyami Brown, Antonio Gandy-Golden, Cam Sims, after the fumble, everybody made their contested catch big play and had their moment. You didn't. You didn't have your wow moment. You had some pretty decent moments, no wow moments. And then to wrap it up, I mean, if you're wondering about like Samuel Cosmi, the fact that you didn't hear his name today is great. In my after the film session review, when I rewatched the game and really put my microscope on him and watch him for every snap that he played, I'm gonna see how good he actually was or wasn't. But the fact that you didn't hear an offensive lineman's name is a great thing. So I'm assuming he had a great day today, because he had a fantastic day, outperformed all of my expectations against the Patriots. Still some things to work on, especially in pass protection, especially with the like his balance, his footwork. You can't lean forward. Guys are gonna abuse you when you do that in pass protection. You lean forward, guys are just gonna pull you forward, let you fall with your own weight and go right by you. That's one of the main things he has to work on. I'm gonna watch this Patriots game to see if he worked on it. But again, the fact that I didn't hear his name called at all today, I'm pretty sure he had a solid day. Because I noticed like that Brandon Sheriff play where he got dominated and Ryan Fitzpatrick ended up getting sacked. I noticed that. I heard Brandon Sheriff's name this game. He had a bad play. I don't think Samuel Cosmi ever had a bad rep. But again, I'm gonna have to review the film to see. And then I think that pretty much wraps it up. So, hey man, please get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please give me your thoughts on the preseason game, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot that I missed. Again, I'm going to have to rewatch the film to give my full breakdown and review of this game. But please get in the comment section and let me know everything that you observed in this game. Who did well, who didn't? Do you disagree with any of my points? Do you agree with any of my points? Also, of course, leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Also, big shouts out to all of my supporters, man. Big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. Special shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. Man, I really appreciate all y'all, man. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.